We'll wait 30 seconds for some. The Beaufort County Stormwater Management Utility Board, this Wednesday, June 18th, 2025. First order of business is the approval of today's agenda. I have a motion to approve today's agenda.
Motion to approve.
That's second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Ed. For those in the audience, we have one of our members is calling in by, is it video? What do they call that? Zoom. And, Mr. Ed Warner is on the screen behind us, so there must be a lag, but we did get an eye for him on the approval of the agenda. The next thing is the approval of minutes. The minutes were corrected as they are written now. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of April 17th, 2025?
I move we approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The minutes of April 17th, 2025 are approved. This time we will go with introductions, starting with Bradley. I'll start with you.
Good afternoon, Bradley Harris, Beaufort County Public Works. Bill Bauer, Town of Bluffton.
Ron Buchanan, St. Helena and Islands East.
I'm Mark Feinberg, and I represent unincorporated District 9 in Defusky Island.
Patrick Mitchell, representing Ladies Island.
Dennis Ross at large.
Public Works. Bailey Brewer, Stormwater Manager.
Stephen Cotto, Beaufort County Public Works.
Jacob Brouts, Project Manager, Stormwater.
Emily Cobb, Beaufort County Public Works.
Laura Wilson, Alljoy.
Jim Lawton, Alljoy.
Young lady,
Paula Brown, Beaufort County Council.
Tom Reese, Beaufort County Council.
welcome one and all. This time on the agenda, we open it up for public comment. If there is any public comment, we expect all comments to be respectful and only last for 3 minutes duration. At this time, is there any public comment? Just know that there will be a public comment period at the end of the meeting. Anyone wishing to come up may do so at this time.
Hi. My name is Laura Wilson. I live in Alljoy. I'm going to just read something, if I may. It's been 4 years today that Preserve and Protect Alljoy came about. We've been asked to share some of what we've advocated for during this time and how the process has been and why. Initiated by a meeting held at a nonprofit preservation person's home with a pre-planned announcement from those invited to speak to the Alljoy community of concrete paths, ripping out Spartina, boardwalks, expanded parking, and the importance of connectivity. Then hearing from the crowd a guttural cry, "What about our drainage issues? What about our stormwater?" Several folks there said to each other, "This is wrong," knowing that the foremost needs this community has for years is why Preserve and Protect Alljoy began. The needs: cleaned and maintained ditches to help with the drainage issues, houses flooding, stormwater, access to affordable sewer because when it floods, there's floating feces, and transparency in decision-making processes that affect the Alljoy community. We were informed that the then Public Works Assistant Director did not like Alljoy, and I just put it as an acronym, PWAD, did not like Alljoy, and it showed by the constant pushback received to have ditches cleaned and cleared. Work was piecemeal until meeting the Stormwater Utility Board Chairman, Mark Feinberg. Mark visited Alljoy, took numerous pictures, seeing the debris in the ditches, clogged pipes, and could barely believe the horrid conditions. Mark shared his findings with his board, and awareness began regarding our needs. We were excited to learn a new stormwater manager was hired. Yay! A smart, environmentally minded young woman who also toured Alljoy, met many long-term residents who found her to be caring, a kind individual who would work to help them. Shortly after, the PWAD, we'll just say that, Public Works Assistant Director, forbid the manager to further assist Alljoy community and ensured rerouting correspondence would only be received by the 2 Public Works Assistant Directors for over a year. After 3 full years of emailing times 10, calling times 10, meeting and pleading with the PWAD, who also blocked for 2 full months submitting the RIA grant for the drainage study. Until the pressure became too great, she and another held a community meeting July 2024 at the Bluffton Rec Center. This meeting was the start of stopped road signage, helpful to many in the Alljoy community advertising public meetings. Utilizing their spidey senses, Preserve and Protect Alljoy folks invited the new county admin and all of council to attend. After that meeting, the PWAD was gone, and the new CA made sure that every single ditch in Alljoy was completed and cleaned just before Tropical Storm Debbie. And what a difference it made. We are super grateful for the boots on the ground folks with Public Works and SCDOT for the truly authentic care about Alljoy. Thank you. And a shortened summary, we'll provide another soon. We just want to thank, again, the Stormwater Board, and please, if you could speak to, we can't have all this concrete down in Alljoy. Please help us. Thank you again for all that you have done already. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe I'll wait for the second one.
It's fine. Someone has just joined the meeting. Would you identify yourself?
Yes, I'm in Town of Bluffton, the US Board Program Manager.
Thank you. At this time, we will go to reports. It looks like Dr. Petty is not present, nor someone from his laboratory, so we will skip Dr. Petty's monitoring update. Municipal reports. We got Mr. Brower here.
Town of Bluffton has a couple things. We're pleased to announce that we did pass the wetland ordinance last town council meeting unanimously, which I want to commend my staff, Andrea Moreno and Beth Lewis, for their tirelessly efforts to make sure that gets through. So I want to make sure they get their kudos for that. They did also pass our budget for fiscal year 26. Inside that, the sub-watershed drainage studies, moving on to Rosedew Creek and finishing up Crooked Cove drainage reports going forward. The cooperation with the USCB lab for the MST lab and the water quality lab will continue, which we're very excited about. Talking about drainage studies, the Hayward Cove drainage study owner's report went out and was received favorably by the state and I believe the county. I think you guys got your report. So that's moving forward. So Crooked Cove should be coming out in another month or two. And then, like I said, we're starting Rosedew Creek. The other big initiative is the contract with McCormick Taylor to start our wetland mapping. We're finishing up the final parts of that. That should go over through the summer and have something out by the end of the year to March of next year.
At this time, I really want to thank the town of Bluffton and Mr. Brower for his continued attendance and contributions from a municipality. During the last meeting, I, as chairman, stated that I would write a letter to the municipalities asking for their attendance and information flow, especially in light of the fact that many of our projects are commingled along with the municipalities and the county. So it's imperative that we know what our municipalities need and whether there's any symbiotic relationships and efforts that we can initiate, Bay Pines being a great example of that. So in light of what I promised last month, this week coming, there will be a letter that I have drafted from the Stormwater Utility Board to our other 3 municipalities, asking their attendance at our meetings and contributions to that end. Does anybody on our board want to make any other statements about municipal reports?
I think it's been mentioned a couple times that not only their presence here, but their either unwillingness or inability to present their financial reports in a timely manner. And I think we need to keep holding their feet to the fire. I don't have a problem with that.
Again, hopefully this letter will address those issues, and we'll get some cooperation. Next is the maintenance projects report, Mr. Carter.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Carter.
Stephen Carter, Superintendent, Stormwater. I'll speak to you all about a few of the major projects and the minor projects that were done throughout the Beaufort County municipality. First project I'd like to speak about is the Wimby Landing Road project. This project improved 11,683 linear feet of drainage system. The scope of work included cleaning out 11,683 linear feet of roadside ditch, jetting 1 cross line pipe, and the total cost of that was $104,731. Another project that we had was the Bible camp on St. Helena Island, and the scope of work included installing 1 access pipe and upsizing 1 cross line pipe and installing riprap for erosion control. And the total cost of that was $36,448. If we take a look at some of the minor projects, we had the Arthur Horn Park, the pond. The project improved 700 linear feet of drainage system. The scope of work included grubbing and clearing 700 linear feet of peninsula and installing 1 access gate. The total cost of that was $9,533. Another one of our minor projects that we had was Doe Drive, and that's in the Ladies Island area. And the project improved 1,312 linear feet of drainage system. The scope of work included cleaning out 1,312 linear feet of roadside ditch, also jetting 20 driveway pipes and 1 cross line pipe. The total cost of that was $10,239. Those are just some of the projects that we have in the report. If you look through, you'll see the rest of the major projects and the scope of work as well.
Looks like you guys have been busy, Mr. Carter.
Yes, sir.
Are you getting all the support you need from the engineering department?
Yeah, we're getting all the work on. The staff is getting beefed up. We're up to about 30 to 33 employees now. We usually have 40 plus. We have a couple major projects still ongoing in the Bluffton area down at Sugary. And another major project with on Hickory Hill with pipe installation, and just had a crew jet out some driveway pipes at Bradley Circle in the Hilton Head area.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good job. Next is a report, if they choose to speak, our liaisons. We have 2 council people here. Our formal liaison is Paula Brown. Ms. Brown, would you like to speak?
I really don't have anything to report, but I know this gentleman does.
Well, she's going to defer to Councilman Ritz.
Right, defer, yeah, like that, defer.
Chairman, Board, Miss Sally, thanks for having me here. I did not know that I was going to speak today, and I believe that's probably my oversight. I didn't look, and I apologize for that. You know, we're on an island, and we have this beautiful place we call home that is surrounded by water, and one of the primary things we do is try to protect our people from the stormwater runoff. And since August 5th, Storm Debbie, I'm here to report between the staff, Ms. Brewer, Bradley, and this board, we've done some incredible work. And I think Mr. Carter just mentioned Bradley Circle and Bay Pines. Bay Pines was August 5th. That Storm Debbie came in and wreaked havoc on that place and many other places, but particularly Bay Pines. And what I learned from that moment, I was there that night and many of the next days following, is that our county did not serve these people like we are doing now. And I'm going to tell you, I'm proud to be part of this team. Mr. Carter talked about a $10,000 contract. Just in the last few months, we've deployed close to $500,000 worth of work just in Bay Pines, based on what this board, Stormwater, and what Ms. Brewer and our team is doing internally. Since Bay Pines, we brought in Bradley Circle, Ashton Cove, Cedar Woods, Point Comfort Club, Old Woodlands, that have had long existing stormwater drainage problems. And, you know, just yesterday, it's coincidental, Ms. Brewer and I were back in Bay Pines. I work full-time still. Unfortunately, I like it, but I mean, I got to do that to pay the bills. But we were there during my lunch hour, and we met some people there that we've been doing a lot of work for. We've learned a lot of things along the way on how we could serve these people even better. But this humble councilman is here to say that the work that you do, and some of us really don't know each other yet, but the work that you do to keep an eye on what we do to serve the people with one of the major priorities, I got to tell you, I'm proud of you. And I'm proud of this team that I work with, because we have people on the ground now for the first time in years listening. And Mr. Feinberg and I think we met each other first time back in September of last year at a community meeting that I held in Bay Pines. We learned about what your role and what your function is with the board in relation to what we do internally. And I'm telling you right now, the people that we serve are appreciative of what we're doing. And if there's anything that we can do as councilmen and the people I represent, I live with them, let us know. I listened to Ms. Wilson. I'm limited with All Joy, but if there's something we can do there, if there's something pervious with the sidewalk that we can look at and maybe pay attention to, let us know. Guide us in how we can help you there. But if there's any questions, Mr. Feinberg, let me know. But we're doing a great thing together, I believe. So if there's anything I missed, there's a lot. Ms. Brewer, did I cover this okay with what we're doing? We learned an awful lot since August 5th. A lot more to learn, but there's no better team than what we have. And if we can just work together. Fair?
Thank you so much, Council.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I can say that I have worked with the great councilman on projects in Hilton Head. And I just hope he sets an example for the rest of the council people in Beaufort County.
God bless you.
Next, we have our stormwater utility report by Mrs. Brewer.
Good afternoon, Chairman Feinberg and members. So we'll start with our utility update. So Beaufort is in the process of developing us options for a new structure for the way that we collect fees. And just to remind everybody, we are not trying to raise fees. We are trying to create an easier way to calculate the fees that can be handled internally instead of contracting out our tax run to two different external companies, as well as making it more equitable to citizens, being commercial and single family, and where that brunt lies of the stormwater fee. So the first step is the first step was to start. And the second step, I guess, would be to have a meeting with our original stakeholders, as I call them. We call them the SWIC members. That's the other municipalities. Present those options to the municipalities to see what their feedback is. We have several members in SWIC that were around when the original fee structure was created. So they're very helpful in giving a lot of background and things like that. So we're going to get that background and incorporate that in whatever decision-making we move forward with. Once we get the SWIC members together and get their input, then we will come back to the board with a formal recommendation of what options for fee structures we're looking at.
Is the overall plan with Wolpert looking at the options to go with one instead of two different companies?
Yes, well, it's to be able to handle the tax run internally.
So we'll save money.
Yes, sir. And it will be a lot less complicated. I think citizens will be able to understand where their stormwater fee is coming from and where that charge is being spent easier.
That's great.
Do you have a time frame when the stakeholder meeting's going to be held?
Within the next 2 weeks. I've requested availabilities from Wolpert, and then we'll have that meeting soon. For the SoLoco manual, we had tossed around the idea of having a third party look at it as far as making sure that it's cohesive and doable for engineers, but also maintains the intent to force responsible development. Bluffton has come through with a series of edits. Once again, I'll give shout outs to Miss Andrea that have been vetted by not only the public, but seriously looked at by internal staff. And we think that in the interest of time, we would like to present those edits as adoption in Beaufort County as well, to edit our manual to more closely reflect what Bluffton has done. So also in that, to make sure that we have an updated format of our SoLoco manual online that is not a draft format and that is fully vetted and correct. So more to come on that as well. I think that will expedite the process versus having a third party look at it. We can also do that as well, but we wanted to go ahead and get this straightened out sooner than later.
Just a comment.
Yes, sir.
I understand that Bluffton had edits, and I believe Hardyville and some others had edits, or they adopted it in total. Are we looking at our partners to be the third party observer, or are you talking about hiring a professional ad hoc group to look at it?
Yes, sir. We were talking about hiring a firm to look at the manual to make sure that it's appropriate. We don't want any loopholes. We don't want any contradictions or otherwise. We want the manual to solidly stand on its own. We're also, that includes a legal review because there is contradicting verbiage in there, like should and shall, that has given me heartburn. So we are going to make sure that legally as well, it has all of the right jargon in it to be enforceable.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. That moves us to our projects report. For Alljoy, our draft contract for Seaman and Whiteside is still under review by RIA. That being given, I had a discussion with Miss Mazza, who kind of handles our grant case, and being that the project was supposed to start in February and close out in November, I felt that an unfair timeline for our consultant. So we did ask for a grant extension. She agreed that their review has taken longer than anticipated. So we will have put in the paperwork for grant extension and have been given verbal confirmation that it will be extended through April of 2026. And I will let you know when we get written confirmation.
So we have a delay in RIA looking at what our proposal is.
Just the contract. They have very specific language that our county procurement department doesn't normally insert into contracts, and they like it tweaked a certain way. So one of the things that they wanted put in was that we would investigate alternative funding sources. We do have a stormwater utility fund, but some counties don't that apply for RA grants. So they want to make sure that in the event something happens that we are able to then still fund the project.
That shouldn't be hard because we do have a buffer of money.
Yes, sir. That's just one piece of language that they wanted added to the contract. And it's been a back and forth of our procurement and RIA to get everything included in that contract the way they want.
So we can't get the contract approved, let me get this, so we can't start the study. So we have to ask again for an extension of the same people who are taking the delay of reviewing the RIA. Is that?
That is correct, but they hold the purse for this project. We're not going to wait forever on them, but
I guess that's my point. We're sort of spinning our wheels here.
being that this is our first extension, I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
We don't foresee any more delays.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Moving to Bay Pines. So there's a two-part process there. If you'll remember, there's a maintenance shelf project. That one is pretty much towards its last leg. The clearing and grading has been complete. The next step will be to hydro seed the maintenance shelf. We are working with the adjoining community to install a fence because the fence was disrupted in the clearing of the maintenance shelf, but we're going to wait to install that fence until after hydro seeding to prevent any further damage to that fence. For that, we in the contract agreed to replace the fence to the quality that it was previously, but the adjoining community would like to pick out a more robust, possibly more expensive fence and have agreed to meet the difference with cost. So we will fulfill our original contract obligations and they will pay the difference for whatever kind of fancy fence they want. Yes. Also on the drainage study for Bay Pines, so the second part of that is to overall analyze the area and come up with some solutions to alleviate the localized flooding. We brought in Mr. Jeff Netzinger from Town of Hilton Head and had a discussion with Wolpert about their design and the inputs that they had in their model. And Mr. Jeff had a lot of historical knowledge that was very helpful in realizing some things that maybe not had been considered in the model. One of them being that the outfall is completely clogged every time I've been there in the field, and the model described it as not an issue. So Wolpert has gone back to not the drawing board, but they're going to make some tweaks in the model and then reruns the design storms essentially to see if they can come up with a scenario where the model shows the outfall being blocked the way it is on the ground. So more to come on that one. So there's been no movement on Shell Point. So we'll just move over that one unless there's any specific.
Before you leave, Shelby.
Okay. Yes, sir.
It looks like the company, Jay Bragg, requested a meeting. Did they have that meeting yet?
I believe they've had several meetings since then. I don't know that there's been a conclusive decision. I know that there were talks of them producing a design for the Hamrick Drive outfall and us taking that out of our grant that we have applied for and continuing with the grant for the rest of the area with a different contractor.
Several meetings with who?
Jay Bragg and upper administration.
Upper. Yeah.
Does anybody have any comments about?
It's just painfully slow. It just seems like this has been going on forever and ever and ever and ever. And the common denominator always seems to be Jay Bragg. And I had thought at one point, maybe Bradley
gone.
That's what I thought, because
Isn't that what you
told us
last meeting?
And then magically at that last meeting, they popped up again. So what is the hold that they have on the county that we just can't say, see you later?
Bradley, do you have anything to add? You can.
It's above me, the decision made above me, that we were gonna continue with Jay Bragg because there was a.
Mrs. Brown and Mr. Eats, is there any way that you guys can ask about that? Why do we continue to have this relationship with Jay Bragg?
Did Jared give us an update?
If you could, that would be great.
Yeah, during this meeting, then we have to come.
I do believe one of the intentions was that they are working on other projects in the area, and hypothetically, it would be nice if those projects would tie in together. So I think the thought process was maybe that that would be better if it was the same contractor.
Well, I understand that, but to have the citizens of that community have to struggle for however many years it's been now, And I say this because I've got a friend of mine that lives in that area and talks about watching pieces of paper float through his yard that never used to do that 10, 15 years ago. So I think the appeasement has to come. Do we either appease the contractor or do we appease the community?
Yes, sir. And I will push for an update on that, and I will offer any help that I can give to the situation.
J. Bragg consultant or an actual engineer?
They are the engineer on the project, the
Engineer.
consulting engineer. Yes, sir.
So with what they're moving forward with, is it in addition to what the county's already paid them?
Yes, sir. It would be an additional fee, and it's the design for the Hamrick Drive outfall specifically.
Okay.
I'm sort of, I don't want to sound totally ignorant, but I guess I am with respect to what happened initially in this project to cause it to be so delayed. And is there an easy answer as to why this has taken so long? It started long before your tenure here.
No, sir. I did not understand what the drag in this project either.
Here goes Mr. Frelick's.
Well, hopefully, we're going to ask Mr. Freilich to come to the microphone. We're going to give you.
I had to brief me up.
Well, we are. Right now, we're talking about Shell Point and its relationship with the consulting engineering firm of J. Bragg. And this has been a languishing project on the list of projects for stormwater for some time. And there's a question by many of our board members as to, number one, why J. Bragg is still involved if they were the cause of the major delay, question one. And then we'll start with that one, and I'll let my board members ask any other questions they wish.
Okay. Yeah, I can answer some of those. And so J. Bragg, I guess backstory real quick. We had a study performed. The study identified some area, it was by Cranston, I believe. After that, it identified recommendations. We did an RFQ. J. Bragg was the qualified firm that was selected by the county to implement, design, and implement and permit those recommendations. And going through that, then there was some interaction between J. Bragg's engineering team and the study that was performed. And then how do we make those improvements on some of the DOT right away? And DOT has different standards of drainage standards and design than what was accounted for in the study. So that was some of the issues and delay. But with J. Bragg, when she got awarded the contract, she got awarded Jennifer Bragg as the president, they got awarded a contract, I believe up to $800,000 or $850,000 in contract value. And out of that, we've issued purchase orders or task orders up to that threshold. We haven't expended that much. So there's been some time delay trying to figure out what parts of the study were appropriate or if anything needed to be redone. We've done some maintenance projects out there and some preliminary projects out there. We've bid and I think rebid some sections of drainage ditches that we were going to get improved. And then what we're doing right now is working through a proposal that she's offered for just a small portion of, not a small portion, but a specific portion of the overall drainage study, which is the Hamrick Circle or the Hamrick Drive drainage outfall, as well as some improvements behind the food line detention pond. So we have a proposal for that task order under the $850,000, and we're trying to solve that and move that forward. If we can't come to terms on that task, then there's going to be a point where, okay, well, I think we've gone as far as we can under that contract with J. Bragg and the team. So, but we're going to move forward with that, and then that would be the culmination of that contract and purchase order.
You mentioned Cranston. Cranston was a consulting firm that looked at what Jay Bragg had proposed or had done?
No, Cranston was the initial firm that the county hired to do the study of the overall drainage basin. What we've learned from previous drainage projects and what we're doing now is when we do an RFQ for a drainage area, like Alljoy is a good example, we're putting out the scope of work to include the initial drainage study, as well as the scope for the permitting and construction plans for whatever the recommendations. So that way we don't have two engineers that what we got caught in at Shell Point is a little bit of this. So whoever does the study and makes the recommendations
Does the work.
does the work to actually do the design and the
What they
permit.
designed.
Correct. And so that's just one of our lessons learned, and Shell Point happens to be one of our older projects that we're working through.
Yeah, how long has the county had a relationship with Jay Bragg? Has it had a multitude of projects over the year?
I don't know the long-term history, but since I've been here in 2020, I don't know if it was their first project or not, but we've awarded, they're the program manager for our 2018 sales tax. I think that got established in 2020 or 2021. Addition to that, they have a program management contract outside of sales tax, other transportation related projects. This is what I believe their first drainage improvement project that they've done for us. So at least those three contracts, and I'm not sure what other, they're a relatively newer firm, 10 years old or so.
And how would their track record be as far as completing jobs or following through on what the county has requested of them? Have we gotten the Heisman from them on other areas to where, well, we're working on this, but there's a problem with that? I mean, we need someone who's going to take action, not someone who's going to keep giving us the stiff arm, because as I said, it's the citizens of that community,
Sure,
the ones that are suffering because of their delays.
sure. I think we've had projects where we've, other projects on the transportation sales tax. You guys, if you're not aware, those programs and projects have taken a long time. That's not all attributed to Jennifer Bragg and her team. The same thing here is we got here together. It wasn't just the one firm, but together we're also going to get out of here. And so I think us being able to solve this, we're working through the proposal terms right now for that scope I just described, the Hamlet Drive area. And if we can come to terms to that, that will bring some conclusion and finality to their scope inside the Shell Point area.
One question I have is, I thought when we were briefed on this last time that the work that Jay Bragg had done, whatever work they had done, I thought we were briefed that it wasn't correct. Like it wasn't going to work.
That was the Cranston study.
That's what I assumed, that Cranston based their study said that
So-
Jay Bragg's work was substandard.
Cranston did the work first.
Yeah, I think we were told wrong information is what I'm saying. I thought we were told it was opposite, that Jay Bragg, I thought we were told that whatever work Jay Bragg had been awarded and performed, which we'd paid them, the county had paid them for, was looked at by either staff or another engineer and said, that's not going to work.
I believe that was the Cranston study that we were
Jay
referring.
Bragg said that Cranston's study was wrong.
Yes, sir.
And we were told that.
Nothing completely wrong. We kind of found some donut holes in it. Well, I wouldn't say it was completely wrong.
Yeah.
But there was some donut holes in it.
Well, and when we're
I think so.
Right. That's
when we're talking about
I
wrong,
think our concern. I think we were relayed some wrong information.
well, and when we're talking about wrong or right, the work that Cranston did was appropriate. The issue is the two engineers. We've got fingerprint a little bit,
I understand that.
and Jay Bragg, they're more of a transportation focused group. Cranston is site development and hydrology. So a lot of the roads that we run into, a lot of the improvements are inside the DOT right away. So knowing that, Jay Bragg with that background, they know what DOT is going to accept or not accept. And some of the design recommendations that were put forth in the Cranston study are not going to get accepted by DOT. that was where the
We
conflict
still got
arose.
the flip. of that.
Yeah, we got the flip. That's
And if
why I'm
we got the flip
Yeah.
wrong, we apologize. We weren't
Yeah,
intended for the confusion.
yeah, yeah, I think it was relayed to us that the county had paid J-Brad to do all this work, and now we're being told by either staff or another engineer that it's all not gonna work. I think that might have been flipped, but it's probably somewhere in the middle. That makes a little more sense.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. All right, no problem.
Move to River's End.
Ms. Brewer, you keep going.
All right. River's End, if you'll remember, is a little subdivision in Okatee, and there's a double layered system that's mixed with RCP and plastic pipe. And we have given Wilbert the task order to design stamped plans that will restore that system to an open ditch system on top. We're going to completely replace the bottom drainage system, and then we'll have lovely planted bioswales on top of the system. That will not only increase the quantity of water that's allowed to flow through the system, but the quality as well. If you'll remember, this one has a pond at the end, and we would love to do a pathway, an earthen pathway around the pond with educational signage and stormwater education features. And then this will be phase 2 of the project. First order is to replace the pipes, second the pond, but also will increase the water quality for the outfall of that, which hopefully will give us some credit for the TMDL that's downstream.
Great.
For Tuxedo Park, this is a pond dredge. The dredging is complete. The pavement was supposed to be replaced. I think they were going to go in this week, today and tomorrow, if I remember correctly, and replace the pavement that was torn up from all the machinery going in and out to dredge the pond. For Hickory Hill, this was a piping in a ditch system, and they cold called and said they'll be on site probably next week, possibly if weather cooperates, to start that project, to finish that project. The clearing's been done for it. For the Okatee River Pond Dam, the geotech report has been completed. We've verified that the dam is not regulated by DES. Stamped plans are underway. So the due date for that is July 30th. If you're interested, I think that's going to be a really cool project. And if you'll remember, that's us revamping the dam for the Passive Parks project. Passive Parks bought a piece of property. We're making sure the dam's functioning correctly. For Royal Pines, we've had some issues with several different properties around Royal Pines, and we had a study done a while back, and there weren't really any feasible proposed solutions to come for that area. However, it has been proposed that we look into the feasibility of a buyout program for stormwater using stormwater utility funds. That would be when we have a property that is inundated by stormwater that could be beneficial to enhancing our system overall, we would be able to purchase that property and then turn it into some sort of stormwater BMP. I had a fun conversation today with Mr. Mark about the possibility of partnering with Green Space on this, which would allow us to put covenants and restrictions on whatever land we purchase that would not allow it to be developed in the future. So it would be only for stormwater use. So we're looking into the feasibility of that, making sure that it's all legally okay.
So would those funds come from stormwater or from green space?
Green Space would match. It would be a 50-50 partnership.
So we're talking about buying houses or land?
Possibly both. So with houses, it gets tricky. Obviously, people live there. But if they are willing to relocate, then we would come to an agreeable price and purchase that property and take the house down and then restore that property to.
Has that ever been done in this county?
Greenville County does it. And
You remember up here on the city of Beaufort did this area right up here on Boundary on the right. Remember the Beaufort County old building there on the right? It used to be the Wendy's.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically that's what they done. So the county or the city and the county, I think, partnered with that. I know the city went there and bought that whole strip, finally bought those businesses out. They, finally bought them out, tore them down and just put them back to natural land.
But
But that is something they do.
that's commercial, but.
Yeah, versus residential.
Residential, it's been done. Well, there's areas that's been done.
Okay.
We're actually looking at that as mitigation areas too, as far as stormwater mitigation. We've had that discussion too about areas that commonly flood. Even if there's a resident on it, we could turn it into a stormwater feature, just buy it outright, because over a period of times, if a place floods more than a few times, FEMA's not gonna continue to pay you. They're gonna tell you to either mitigate your property or we're not gonna, you have to mitigate the property basically. So you have to build your house up, mitigate the land, or maybe there's something that stormwater could look into is buying that property, making it a stormwater feature to help with the stormwater issues in neighborhoods and areas that certain areas that just naturally don't drain well.
I think it's pretty creative.
Bradley doesn't even know this yet, but there's a section of the old golf course that's up for sale in the Royal Pines area that Mr. Mark has his eye on.
Got that right.
We're looking into that as well too. There's some areas in that area that we're looking at.
I would just ask that we've already sent forward next year's budget. So I didn't see any of these in our next year's stormwater budget.
No, sir, it would have to be an additional charge.
Could be something additional, or it could be next year. This is very early.
Preliminary.
Step one is making sure that our utility is set up in a way that this would be legal for us to buy land. They usually are, but we just want to make sure. And if you want to look at a good example, Greenville County. Yes, sir. For Arthur Horn, this is a little 17-acre wetland in the Port Royal area. It's in a neighborhood. It functioned as a natural stormwater wetlands, and it was knocked down in Hurricane Matthew, and the drainage rerouted itself, as water does, into people's backyards. So the downstream system is clear. There's no obstructions, but the water's not making it to the outfall. So this is a place that used to have a boardwalk out into a wetlands area. Many of the community members enjoyed it as an amenity for the community. They have expressed intent that they would like that restored. So we are looking at a two-phase project here. Number one, restoring drainage, making sure that everything's functioning the way that it's supposed to be to alleviate the flooding. And then the second would be an amenity similar to River's End. So we would do a pathway, boardwalk type pathway around the wetlands area. Part of the preliminary design includes a wet pond that we were thinking about trying to get certified as a duck impoundment afterwards. I don't know if y'all have been to Cypress Wetlands in Portland and Port Royal, but it's beautiful. It functions. It's a big draw attraction for the area. We don't want to steal their thunder, but I would like to bring in an ecological aspect to this project, whether it be ducks or turtles or something. And that can be done on the back end, but we just want to make sure we're considering that in the design. I think it would be a great amenity for not only the community, but the water quality of the area.
Cypress Wetlands in Port Royal is a great example of what Falklands Management did. We had a meeting there 2 years ago, our stormwater board. And it is a very attractive feature for Port Royal, gets a lot of visitors, and it's very ecologically friendly. But is that water, I do not believe is tidal movement.
What, Port Royal?
Yes. Really
big storm event or something?
No, I know one that is totally tidal, eventful, and it's located between Rose Hill and a place called Belfair. And it's tidal and it has a rice gate, and it has lots of difficulties. Rarely do you see a duck. I mean, don't see ducks, but we see other waterfowl. However, it is really difficult to maintain through the rice gates.
As well as this Arthur Horn part that she's talking about, it's been a very.
It's very, very difficult to manage.
Maintain. That's what we're trying to do now, is to get it where we can have some positive flow through the wet, naturally flow through the wetland, but at the same time, it wouldn't be a whole lot of maintenance, if you will. It would just be get it kind of reestablished.
The one I'm talking about takes a lot of maintenance and a lot of dredging. and it's very costly to maintain.
We would not design anything that would require extensive maintenance like that because we would have to get permits to go back and do any kind of maintenance like that.
Because when you're talking about the Cypress wetlands, there's also the Crystal Lake Park, which was part of it, but that's not tidally affected. And that's another little hidden gem that's in Ladies Island.
And I don't know if you've been by Arthur Horn, where it's at, it's centrally located like literally in the
Right in
middle
the center.
of the neighborhood. I mean, it's an old neighborhood, been there forever. Right off of, Magnolia there, and it's been there forever. It's just an old wetland.
And that RFP for design's already out. correct?
Yes, sir. We're nearing the end of its 30-day posting. We had RFQ.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, RFP, yeah.
So we
For
should have the
design.
qualifications back really soon.
We had 42 firms attend the pre-qual meeting, which I've never seen.
Oh, a lot of questions.
Yes,
Okay.
lots of questions, lots of interest. I think the ecological side is drawing a lot of interest for the engineering firms because it's something new, something fun.
I think it's gonna be a good project I think it's gonna be a very good positive for Stormwater Board and for Stormwater in general in Beaufort County. I think it's just gonna be a really good positive project to get that accomplished there.
And that's when, if you'll remember, that we had applied for a grant and we had verbal confirmation that we were going to receive a grant, and that was in 2022. So management decided to move forward with funding this out of the Stormwater Utility Fund. So that brings me to our professional contracts update. We have Wolpert currently as our on-call for A&E Stormwater Services. Their task order-based contract expires in October of this year. We are pleased with them. We would like to continue with them, but we do have to put it out for RFP. And we have been instructed to model how the engineering department has 3 firms on call for a variety of different services. So it would be nice to have a couple of engineering firms, 3 specifically, on call that specialize in different types of projects. That would also give us an advantage when we have to collect quotes from 3 people. So
I take it you like Walpert and 2 others.
well, we would have to put out an RFQ and we would give firms, they would have to apply, and then we would rank them through our procurement process, and then the top 3 ranked firms would be selected.
When do you expect that to?
We are starting in July
Okay.
to start that process, and it's early, but we will have to get it going. So. Also, last but not least, and on a good note,
We can say there is something new to report.
there is something new to report on the staff report. I'm sorry. I thought that I had done this at the last meeting, and when I checked with him, I had not. So we have a new stormwater program manager, Mr. Jacob Brott. Project manager. Okay. Oh, no, I don't want to give him my job. Project manager.
Not yet.
So I asked him to write a little write-up about himself because I did want to introduce him to y'all. So I'm going to read his introduction. My name is Jacob Brotz. I'm a 29-year-old and have been raised in Beaufort for the last 28 years. I've worked for Beaufort County for over 8 years now. I got my start with the county in grounds maintenance as a maintenance technician, then worked my way to stormwater infrastructure as an inspection technician. After 2 years there, I was promoted to stormwater inspector in the stormwater regulatory department, where I remained for the next 5 years. I have now been promoted to stormwater project manager. Prior to getting my start with Beaufort County in 2017, I got my degree in forestry and wildlife management. After college and spending some time in Texas, I knew I wanted to come back and do more for my home county. After some hard work and patience, I feel like I'm finally where I'm supposed to be to really help make a positive impact, not only for the local waterways and wildlife that utilize them, but also for the community to love and enjoy as well. I could not be more excited and grateful for the position I'm in now, and I look forward to what the future and what we can all accomplish together. So thank you, Jacob. I'm very excited.
At this time, I want to welcome Jacob, and I would like, Jacob, please stand because we are recording this. Again, from the board, thank you. Welcome.
Appreciate y'all.
That is the conclusion of my manager's report, unless anyone has any additional questions.
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
At this stage, is there any unfinished or old business needs to come before the board? Or any board members? Ed, are you there?
He's napping.
Yeah, I had to unmute my screen. I'm here, I'm listening. I have nothing to add.
All right, thank you. At this time, is there any new business that needs to come before the board?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So this is I feel like I'm beating a dead horse sometimes. I think all of us are going to think we're beating a dead horse, and I certainly hope that staff or anybody else feels like I'm beating up on them. I'm just kind of stating the obvious, and I have some questions, and I want to make sure I get this right. And Mr. Chairman, obviously, as always, feel free to admonish me if I step out of line, because I've been known to say I shouldn't have been. First question that I have, and this largely pertains to the Alljoy neighborhood, is how has Mr. Kraus, Matt Kraus, has he been in contact? Has he been actively engaged on everything that's going on, particularly with the SCDOT building of the roadway and the walkway?
He gets an update from engineering. Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I wanted to make sure, and he's obviously been.
He's like the point of contact. So any information, he's kind of the bring it in, push it out. You know, if we have information, we give the information to him. He pushes it out to the community.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure. Little back history is I need to catch up on some of this stuff. As this goes back, this roadway project on Alljoy was obviously part of the 2018 sales tax referendum. Is that correct? All right. And this was one of the identified projects that the county felt that it needed to have done, was the rebuilding of that road and that walkway along Alljoy Road down to the docks, right? As far back.
All the way to the dock.
You're right. In that, because I was at the presentation that they did at Bluffton Library, what they wanted to do. Now, and as far back as June of 2021, the Alljoy residents have opposed a bike path, and they even had a petition stating that fact, yet the county still felt that they needed to march forward. Is that correct?
As far as I know, yes, sir.
Okay, and that was through.
Not on the part of that project. I hear kind of what you hear.
I get you. And I'm looking for Taylor, if you have any corporate knowledge on this, by all means, feel free to jump in, or Ms. Brown or Ms. Reed. So this all was proved, even though the residents who live there and have been dealing with flooding and stormwater problems for God knows how long, that the state decided, raising their cake flying behind them, that we're going to come in, we're going to rebuild the road, and we're going to put in a walkway. And I think it's a good idea to have a walkway, but there, from what I understand from the conversation you and I had, they won't put down anything but pervious substance because they don't want to maintain the doggone thing, right? Doesn't make
sense from SCDOT. Yes, sir. That's their standard.
Makes no sense to me at all. Absolutely does not. Is there anything, or have we had any opportunity to have a conversation with SCDOT to see if there will be the ability for the county to perhaps even subcontract that path or that walkway to just a natural type of environment, a nature trail, so that it won't add to the problem that Alljoy already has? Is that possible?
I didn't refer back to engineering because they're running their project, they're handling the project, so I have to refer to engineering on that to see if, but I'll ask the question. I made a note, so I'll ask the question to.
I would love to hear that.
Bring it up at county council at liaison.
I'm sorry?
I'm gonna bring it up Monday at the county council at the liaison reports.
Perfect.
Tom and I both, and ask council, and especially Mark Lawson, this is his district. What are we gonna do? Because Ms. Wilson and a lot of others have come to us or come to me. This is District 9, I'm District 8, not District 9.
Right.
And they've come to me, and I'm gonna try to help them, but this is Mark's district, and I'm just gonna bring it up at the liaison meeting, county council meeting on Monday night, just FYI.
Thank you. All right, other stuff.
It's constant.
It
It's
is.
constant with everything we do.
It is.
You know, but why can't we do the job the right way? The first time, not the second or third, but the first time. Don't get me started, please.
I'll try not to, but I'm getting spooled up too, so I'll get you spooled up, all right? And Bradley, you guys know this is against you. I want what's best for these communities. They don't want that impervious. There was even a petition with over 1,000 names on that petition. It said, no, we don't want this. And it went by the wayside. I don't think it ever came before council. I don't think it's ever been made aware. So that was another thing that I did in my research. Mitigation factors. And again, listen, I'm an aeroscience major, okay? I have nothing to do with engineering, and I think that pretty much shows every time I open my trap, okay? But it doesn't make sense to me. I think one of the biggest things that we need to do for this community and a lot of these communities, and there was a member of staff from a city that recently, he and I were having a discussion. He said, we ought to just pave everything over and just be done with it. Because that's the only way, that's what's going to happen eventually anyway. But the problem is we have a vision going forward. And I have to bring up my buddy that lives in the Shell Point neighborhood. When he moved in there 4 years ago, I gave him a bachelor party 40 years ago when he moved in this house in Shell Point. It was beautiful. And now every time it rains, because they built up that apartment complex on one side out by the Broad River, they've built up the housing units on the other side. He goes, every time it rains now, I get flooded. And it's been that way. So our problem is, at least in my view, is we fail to have mitigation or long-term mitigation. We have a project, we mitigate it, and then it presents a problem, and then we have to mitigate that, and then we have to solve a problem. I want us to be able, particularly in this all-joy neighborhood with this pathway, to have the vision to understand that this is just going to compound the problem. It might not be monumental, but it's going to be a big enough problem to where 5 years from now, we're going to go, well, May River, we're going to have to shut it down to shell fishing and everything else because of all this chemical runoff and all this other nonsense. I beg council, as you said, you're going to bring us up Monday. We need to have this vision, not just a couple years going forward, but way forward down the road to say the things we do today are going to have an impact 5 years from now. And then we're going to have to regroup and try and fix it again. And it's more county funds, more man hours, more manpower. And it seems like we just keep chasing our tail.
I know. I don't understand why South Carolina Dock can't change the materials.
Got me.
It's a big deal.
No. Bradley will find out.
Don't work for us.
We called them 2 years ago and asked this question, and they said, it is fine, absolutely fine for the county to take back the contract and do it. Laura, they don't want to maintain it. That's why they put it over to SCDOT.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, that needs to be a public comment.
That needs to be at the end.
If you address on Monday.
The last thing that I'll say, I'm sorry, I got one more thing. I'm running at the mouth here, but we talked about the Soloco manual, and oddly enough, I'm not an exciting person. I read these things and I go through and wow, that makes sense. Or, wow, that's really stupid. It's part of what I think we all need to do. But I look at the Soloco manual, I look at the comprehensive PEN resiliency plan. These things have to work together if we're going to have a long-term vision for this county. It's the fastest growing county in the state. It's the fastest growing state in the union. And if we just sit back and just, I'll fix a little here, I'll fix a little there, we're already behind. That's the aviation term. We're behind the power curve. We're what we call a region of reverse command. You can add all the power you want. You're never going to get out of that hole. So we got to think forward. That's my 2 cents. Mr. Chairman, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. At this stage, with respect to this pathway, sidewalk, bike path, what I would like to do is entertain a motion from the Stormwater County Stormwater Utility Management Board that we disagree with the decision of the county's engineering to approve the permit to have an impervious walk/bikeway along Alljoy Road. This decision to have an impervious surface is not in keeping with the current best management practices known as BMPs for the control and containment of stormwater runoff. This is extremely important since the potential stormwater will carry pollutants in close proximity to the May River. And I would like to have that motion approved by this board that we can send on to council to read at their next meeting. So that's my motion, and I'm looking for a second and a vote.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ed,
He stuck his hand out.
I raised my hand. I'm in favor.
thank you. It's a unanimous decision that this motion will go forward to council.
So we can read that motion if you want to send it to me.
I will.
On my, okay, email it to me.
I will.
Tom or I will read it as a motion. He will set the motion, I'll second it during the liaison, so they can't stop us.
Well, Bradley, will you be able to garner any information by Monday's meeting to be able to present to council if they have a question? Well, Jared's in the next room.
Well, Jared's usually in the.
Let's not have side comment here. It's not appropriate.
They just send me the motion and Tom and I will first and
Just
second
gotta
it.
notify engineering that this has been motion here, just so they're aware.
That's fine. That's fine. At this time, I open up the floor for public comment. We've had somebody join us. Lady in the back, I don't know if she wants to. Go right ahead, sir.
Make it quick. My name is Jim Lawton. I live at 52 Oyster Street in Bluffton. Thank you for having us here. I'm a little bit all over the place because I was just told this morning we need to get to this meeting, and I have plenty of stuff to do at home. But I think we all agree that this board is one of the most consequential boards in the whole county because we are a water-bound county with this big river in between that seems to make north and south like continents from one another. We realize that there are 3 major municipalities in the county. It used to be just Beaufort and Hilton Head, sort of, duking it out. Now, with Palmetto Bluff, bless their hearts, annexing into Bluffton, or the other way around, we have 3 large municipalities and a Marine base. Those are the kind of municipalities within our county. But the great majority of Beaufort County is rural and unincorporated and proud of it. I don't think we want a county of one big urban sprawl. I think our little communities like Shell Point and Alljoy are really critical to the character of our county. 102 years ago, 2 people got together, my grandfather, Thomas O. Lawton, and C.E. Ulmer, to lay out a plat for the Brighton Beach community, which is what Alljoy is. They thought that it would be a great place for people to escape the heat, and I'm sure grandfather had no idea that it would be so full of full-time residents now. I mean, it is kind of built out, every nook and cranny. And there are families like mine who are just about ready to celebrate our 100th year of our family on the bluff. And those, if it gets developed, if it gets swallowed into the town of Bluffton, which we love dearly, and we love what Bluffton is doing to protect our common river. The nonsense that is going on and with county engineering in terms of communication is just abysmal. And we want to turn that around. We want to be heard. We want transparent government. And we're not seeing it except here with this board. I am 8 seconds over. Thank you.
You're okay. Go ahead. I'm allowing you to.
So why are the comments of Alljoy residents being sort of ignored? What is the end game of the county for our community? Do they want us to be pushed into the town of Bluffton? We don't want that. We want it, our boat landing, which my grandfather also gave to the county, to remain a boat ramp for our community, not a major playground for Sun City or anybody else. It's a very tight space that we all know can't really expand anymore. So what do? Are we going to be, are our beliefs going to be listened to? You're the only board that genuinely does. So I'm hoping I'll come on Monday and I'll make my comments to county council, but I'm just astounded how little engineering listens to us. They put together, they have these things at our library, but we still don't know what a plan is for the boat landing. We have said hundreds of times, impervious surface, no fancy pavilion, just the ramp, maybe a fishing dock where the old Bowman dock was, but keep it small. I mean, the beach itself, which is called Brighton Beach, thank you very much, not Alljoy Beach, is a mess. It's like the county could give a damn about us sometimes. Why not maintain what we have? We gave the county a 15-foot by 436-foot slice because we were desperate to get the sheriff to police it. And that was going to be, solve all our problems. None of them has been solved. When I meet a cruiser walking the loop every morning, I say, there's not really much activity down here at 9 o'clock in the morning. We need you there at 9 p.m. Says, oh, we only have two patrol cars to police all of this part of the county. I said, well, that was the deal your sheriff promised. No, none of it. It's a mess. Plus, in terms of stormwater issues on that front row, those houses are in danger because nobody has figured out what to do with the beach. And I'm all for the Spartina grass. I'm also all for having some sort of swimming beach. But the houses within the loop are in danger from nothing being dealt with in terms of riprap and the secondary line of defense to surging tides.
Well,
so I thank you for your work.
I thank you for your kind comments and things within our purview. We will continue to try to assist. There are some things that you have mentioned that are, quite frankly, outside of our purview, but we are all county residents and feel your pain.
Well, the May River, the Beaufort River, these are the defining characteristics of our county and why it is growing faster than any other place in the state. So we want to maintain that beauty and the health of our rivers.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other?
One thing to that, if I could.
Please come up to the podium. Yes, please. Council.
Address Mr. Lawson. We just approved the Lawton. Oh, I'm sorry, Lawton. I apologize. Okay. Lawton and Dawson. We just approved a budget for the sheriff's department. They're raising the sheriff's department to 60,000 a year. And he was down, I don't know, 20 some. 30 police officers. Yes. So that's probably going to help the situation with Alljoy along with other neighborhoods. We're going to have more deputy sheriffs on the street now because they're getting a big raise. And he's going to be able to hire some people because he's losing his people to SLED or to Bluffton Police or Port Royal Police or wherever, Beaufort City, and because he couldn't keep them.
Yeah.
And, but now he will be able to. So that's gonna help the situation. Maybe instead of 9 in the morning, 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's just changed their schedule.
Yeah, right. But he doesn't have it there.
Councilman?
Very briefly, Mr. Lawton, I'm a history buff. And I thank you for the history. I appreciate that. I really mean that. Mr. Ross, to what you opined about is something that I learned since August 5th. When it comes to stormwater, there was a lot of things that we did not address in the Hilton Head area. And as a result of Bay Pines and learning about all these other communities, I started going back to the county and the town with Cedar Woods, Sea Pines, Tide Point, all this. And I get a call from, I was Sean Cohen or Jeff Netzinger that Ms. Brewer talked about. And he said to me, he said, Tommy, Councilman, you're killing us here. We're going to have to put together an island-wide master drainage plan. And I did exactly that. I said, wait a second, we're an island community for all these years. That 1862 history, by the way, is incredible, Mitchellville. But so here we are. We got to, again, I applaud Mr. Lawton saying how good you are. The work we're doing now with boots on the ground since August 5th, we've come up between town and county, and we're going to put together an island-wide master plan that's going to give us, it all works together. And we need to know that. So music to your ears, I hope. But we got some good things going on, and we're working together. Miss Councilwoman Brown talks about districts. I don't even know what number I'm district. I'm for the people. We're all for the people, and we're starting to work that way. So here's my last thing I'll say. Help us. Let us know what you need. We'll let you know what we need. We'll work with our staff. We got some great people. I'm telling you, there's a lot of things we can do. Thank you very much. And listen, whatever time I have left, I want to give to that man. He went over a little bit, so just cover him.
Thank you, sir.
Not sure I can say anything that would be apropos at this time. Is there any other public comment at this time? If there,
Just real quick, not long. Thank you.
yes, yes.
Laura Wilson Alljoy, and thank you again. And I just wanted to mention, it's funny when Jennifer Bragg's name came up because at that very, very first meeting, June 12th, 2021, that's what made the woman scream when Jennifer was stating all that was going to occur to Alljoy. So that's interesting to catch that. Also, we have a letter from engineering. It's from Brittany Fields, June 20th. Of 2021, and it stated Alljoy Road was actually, the path was never for Alljoy, ever. It was for Shad. There's about 60 children on Shad. It was never, there were 2 virtual meetings, and folks know that we're not virtual down there. We just aren't. And so 2 meetings got that moved from Shad to Alljoy. So and I can send forward to this board the letter from engineering that was received, and it gave all the criteria down. And as I mentioned earlier, we did contact SCDOT. They said the only reason that they're doing it is because the county doesn't want to maintain it. Now, they do have porous concrete, and we thank this board again for putting forth to Beaufort County Council to please stop this concrete, because 2 items that we desperately needed down there when that woman screamed out was stormwater and affordable sewer. And it has been the residents. The residents, Bob Williams found the RIA grant. It took me 2 full months to push it in with Katie Herrera with the previous. I mean, it seemed like, and we were told that they just didn't like Alljoy and didn't want to assist. So it has been a constant pushing the rock up the hill, but these people deserve it because they have asked for years, stormwater and that. But it concerns me that this big path, this big concrete monstrosity that's projected to come towards us, why isn't and the people have asked repeatedly, but our district rep, I guess we have to order a hearing aid to send. I don't know what to do, but I mean, what our needs, we've been asking and pleading and begging and petitioning and everything. Never. It's this concrete push. So something is askew with engineering. And I know with that first meeting when a whole people brought it down and Eric Greenway was there, there's people that are putting that Greenway name to someone else within the county because the work is still going. And the last thing I want to say is we recently went to an all-joy meeting. People say we're not even going. It's just they're ticking off the boxes. We had like 12 meetings. They're going to pick like 4 that they want to use. We went to Councilman Tom Ratz's. The person that went with me cried at his meeting because he listens to his people. He cares. He's like shoulder to shoulder. We will work through this. We will get it done. And that's where, again, we just thank this board because this board does listen and we appreciate you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, with no other comment from the board or from the public, I declare this meeting adjourned.